And thank you, everyone. I'm Rebecca Ong with Dollars and Cents. It is episode 3 of Freedom Fridays. Freedom Fridays is a regular series of interviews with our peers talking about their financial and debt-free journeys. Something to just kind of give a little boost out into the ether because as we all know, we could probably use that. And, this is a topic also, especially within our field, or anyone really with advanced degrees, where student loan debt or debt in general is something that plays a large part in our day-to-day lives. And people feel like they are consumed by it and there's no way out. And so I started this series just so that we can have some good success stories of people within our field, just to kind of boost people up and give them a little hope. So today's guest is Eric Snyder, and hey, and let me change this over, and I want to make sure that I have the speaker view on here. Bear with me, folks. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, sorry about that. Okay, so Eric is a practitioner in Ohio, and where was it again?
My practice is in Twinsburg, so it's between Cleveland and Akron.
Okay, perfect. So, just a few baseline questions here. How long ago did you graduate from Chinese medicine
21
school?
years ago, 99.
All right, where'd you go?
Colorado School of Traditional Chinese Medicine.
All right, great. And then you moved out to Ohio.
About 6 years later.
Okay. And I know Eric and I have spoken previous to this, so there's multi-layers to his financial journey here. But how much debt did you pay off in total?
So we paid off $75,000 in credit card debt, plus my wife's $36,000 in student loan debt.
Ah, okay. I thought the 75 was all inclusive, so it was actually so it was actually over 100,000. Okay, great. Not great, but great. Congratulations. And about how long did that take?
It took us only about 4 years. We came into Ohio with some cash, and we started 2 new businesses, and had a newborn child, and quickly burned through all the cash, and was not making a ton of money. Ohio was very difficult to practice back then. You had to have a referral from an MD to see a patient. They had to be within 15 minutes of the MD, or you had to be within 15 minutes of the MD. So it was tough to run a practice. And as life went on, we incurred a bunch of debt. We overspent on a bunch of stuff that probably wasn't useful, like nice desks and things like that. And then one day we started to bounce checks, and we started to not be able to make our payments, and we had to have a big talk about, feeding ourselves. We were really looking at, potentially becoming homeless in a couple of months. It was that bad. And so the big thing for us was actually doing a budget, and then doing a weekly, we used to call it Money Mondays. Every Monday night we'd get together, because she was in insurance, and so she didn't have a steady income stream. I would have a good week, then a crappy week. So it was very much looking, what bills do we have coming up? When can we pay those? How much money do we need to save? How much ramen are we going to be eating to make that happen? But it got us out of the trap of, making those bad decisions of going out or doing something fun when we were horribly in debt. And we just did the snowball. We paid off the smallest debt first, and then we went after the highest interest rate ones. And the big thing for us was we made it into a game. Instead of making it as a thing that divides a couple, we made it something that brought us together. Like, how much money can we save this week? And it just snowballed from that. And then our businesses were also growing. And the really interesting thing was, once we got a handle on the debt and started to pay down the debt, and our businesses were growing, all the stress went away. because we saw the light at the end of the tunnel, that this is doable. We also took turns every 6 months of who pays all the bills. So there was no power dynamic going on of, me denying my wife buying something or she denying me because it wasn't in the budget. It was more even. It's not a very exciting story, but it works.
I will disagree. That is not an exciting story. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't find this kind of stuff somewhat interesting. But no, everybody always thinks that their stories aren't that interesting. But what I really love about your story, obviously, getting out of the debt part is phenomenal. But there is a lot behind uh, doing something like this, and especially when you are a couple, if you're working together as a household, and that is something that I do talk about in my webinar as a big part of this entire journey and the success of the ultimate success of paying everything off and getting financially organized. Is if you are with a partner, you really do have to work together.
Right.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And she taught me one of my favorite things to tell patients that have their own business, and that we always tell each other, is when you're thinking about doing something new or buying something for the business, is does it make the boat go faster? Is there a reason to do it other than, you know, is it a pretty piece of artwork? Do you really need that? Do you need $1,000 piece of artwork, or can you get a $20 piece of artwork that will fill up that wall space? And that's just one of those kind of things that we always kind of come back to. Does it make the boat go faster?
Absolutely. Yeah. Even just beyond ROI, is this, just thinking it from an ROI perspective, like anything that you buy, whether it's your business or personal, taking a step and being really mindful about your purchases and looking at it and saying, is this the kind of thing that will actually get me to my ultimate goal?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, is setting goals. I mean, obviously, your first goal when you're in debt is to be from underneath that crushing weight, because it just sucks. Um, and then, starting to figure out what you really want. I mean, at least for me, it was get out of debt. Then it was dump some money into my business. Definitely made some financial mistakes with that around marketing. Um, Putting things into like snail mail and advertisements that just bring no return on investment. And I built the practice up. It was booming. COVID hit. It's not so booming, but it's fine. And we're still doing well. And a couple of years ago, we really looked at, you know, we have money now. My wife sold her business, which allowed us to pay off our house and put some money in the bank. Um, and also now has a corporate job with benefits, which is delightful. Um, so now we're really looking at retirement, and having getting ready for this seminar, I really kind of look back at, the third year we were here. I think we made 75,000 total between us. We paid $23,000 in credit card bills that year. I mean, it's a third of your income. I mean, it's ridiculous. Um, and now we're looking at, like, so what do we want to do? How much money do we need to save? How are we going to save that? How are we going to invest it? And it's been fun. And it's much more fun to think about how you're going to save money and then how you're going to pay off debt. It's way better to be in that position, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And um, so are you still using a budget?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We have a weekly budget. We have a monthly budget. We have a quarterly kind of, not necessarily budget, but like investment.
Hmm.
Like we have to have this much money, uh, and anything extra, we kind of, do we need to buy a car, or do we need to, you know, can we just put it into retirement? Um, but yeah, we still actually do Mondays. I mean, they take 2 minutes now,
Right. Yeah.
but and when you're out of debt, then you can do things like pay your car insurance 6 months ahead and get a 10% discount.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, just all these little things that you never really thought of, and it just snowballs. And next thing you know, you're like, hey, I have a retirement account.
Yeah. It's I say this, it's a game plan for your money. It's a spending plan. A budget is a spending plan. When people hear the word budget, it's kind of like, it's restrictive and
Right,
like no fun. But really, what it is it's a plan, and you tell your money where to go, and you can tell your money. You can use that to plan for fun things like vacations and whatnot.
right.
Um, so this is such a big part, and then once you're done, using that to pay off your debt, all this money that you were once putting towards debt, yeah, you get to put towards paying off your house, which is phenomenal, actually.
Right.
You
Yeah,
have a
and a
paid
lot of
off
people
house.
a lot of people disagree with that, but I will tell you, not having any payments really, I mean, it's just like like
There's a
I
lot
broke
of
a tooth and I had to get an extract, and it costs money, and we were like, how should we pay for that? And we were like, oh, out of the checking account.
hmm
Like we have the money.
yeah. And anyone who's a homeowner, you know that things come up all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's plenty of money. You're still putting money towards your house. Don't worry about
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, our house is 80
that.
years old.
Oh,
So,
yeah, well, there you go. But
right.
you don't have that payment, going towards, and your house is still also, building equity as well. You're
Right.
just having to make,
Well, not much in Northeast Ohio.
well, you
It's
never
pretty
know.
minimal.
Well, after all this, a lot of people are fleeing cities and looking more rural and looking
Right.
for lower cost of living for sure. So, you know,
Right, there you
y-
go.
you may have more neighbors, but your property value will go up.
We like our neighbors.
So this is phenomenal. So yeah, so this is why I love this story, because it is a story of working together toward a common goal. And I like you mentioned, I like that you and your wife, you take turns with who runs the finances. And so there's something to be said, of course, with any household that one partner will have, just be a little stronger in one area,
Right.
than the other, the um, division of labor, just because some people are just a little better at some things than others. But, something like this, there has to be a balance, because that could easily turn into one person just kind of sticking their head in the sand and being like, that's your job.
Right, right.
And when
And
it
that was
comes,
definitely one of our problems,
right.
and that just worked through it.
Yeah. And when it comes to money, because it affects both of you very equally.
And there's such a taboo against money and talking about money.
Mhm.
That's, obviously something that, a lot of people have to deal with.
Yeah. Now I've touched on that in the group too. The taboo of money, of talking about money, and
Right.
it is a fascinating. We can talk about, especially us as clinicians, we can talk about bowel movements
Oh
and
yeah.
urination and
Right.
menstrual cycles and all kinds of private stuff. But then when you start talking about finances, we're like, ah.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, but anyway, so uh, I guess what in your entire journey, like, what was the hardest part for you?
Probably realizing in how much trouble we were in. We just turned a blind eye to it for so long that until it just became like, wow, we could be, we could be homeless. Um, perhaps we should deal with this shit right now instead of blowing it off, and kind of talking through all those issues. Because when you talk to your partner, you'll be like, well, you spend a lot of money on this, and they'll be like, well, you spend a lot of money on that, and instead of, it becomes antagonistic, and working through those and working through the ego issues on, you know of on both sides. That was probably the hardest part, and actually made us a better couple.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Um, Again, yeah, like you said, it brought you guys together.
Yeah, very
And that
much so.
will, because it's, either that or you just build resentment for each other.
Right,
And that just drives people apart. So,
right, right. And you
uh,
can't fix contempt.
it's, or yeah, it's very hard once
Right.
you're there. Sure. Well, this is so great. Thank you so much for sharing this. This
Thank
is
you.
this is really cool. And right now, so you have a paid off house, you're out of debt, and you're just working on your retirement now?
Correct. Well,
Awesome.
and college for the 3 kids and
Ah, mhm,
all that stuff. But, like, ultimately, my goal is, to if you do some financial stuff, the rule of sevens and fours, every seven, if you get 7%, you double your investment every 10 years. And can you live off 4% of your investment? And that way
mhm,
you get to leave all this stuff to your kids so they don't go into debt, you
sure.
know?
Yeah, and this is a great example for your kids. Are they kind of along the like, with you
Oh,
in
they're on
this
a
journey?
budget. They
Yeah.
do, they get an allowance and then they do extra stuff for work.
How old are they?
And
The kids?
Miss Lola is 15 and a half and the twins are 11.
Great. I don't know if you saw it. I posted it a few weeks ago. I a book that I've been reading. It's called Debt Free Degree.
No, I
Actually,
didn't.
I have it right here. I get no. It's called Debt Free Degree. That's probably backwards. But
Perfect.
it's by Anthony O'Neill. I got it from the library. So, but it talks about all the ways. It's called Step by Step Guide to Getting Your Kid Through College Without Student Loans. So
Interesting.
you're in the
That's
perfect
probably a
age
worthwhile.
range
Yeah.
right now. It's worthwhile, and if it's not entirely paid off, or like no, if it's not entirely paid in cash, there's certainly a lot of really good information in there and tips on like things
Yeah.
like
Yeah. It
applying for
gets really
scholarships, that
complicated.
kind of stuff.
Like,
So,
do you really want a 529 plan for them? Because it could actually decrease the amount of scholarships they get and
right,
stuff. Yeah.
right. So it's a good book, so that'd be perfect for you. Um,
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, we're kind of getting towards almost our 20 minutes here. Any other comments that you want to add in?
Nope, just support your local organization so
Okay.
we can keep all of our licenses together and our scope of practice intact.
No, absolutely. So that's your plug. You want to
That's my
plug your
plug.
clinic?
Well, I actually have a dear friend that's going through school right now and is going to come onto my practice. And
Okay.
it doesn't matter to me because, I'm getting, I'll practice for another 10 years at the most. I'll be fine. She'll be screwed if it keeps going the way it is.
Mm, okay. Well, let's yeah, everybody join your state associations. It's really important. It's such I have I'm a part of my Massachusetts one. It's like $200 every 2 years or something like that. It's pretty minimal.
Right.
So put that in your budgets, people. have a
Absolutely.
have a sinking fund for that because it's really important because it really is the only voice that we have as a profession. Um,
Correct. And
so
it's not a very loud voice right now.
no, it depends on the state you're in. There are certainly a lot of people. I'll give a shout out to Amy Mager, who's been working really hard for not only Massachusetts but also the ASA. And but we do have a lot of loud voices in this field online, but
Right.
not a whole lot of people willing to get their hands dirty about
Correct.
it. So, so all right. Well, thank you so much, Eric. And
Hey, thank you,
what's
and
the name of
have a
your clinic?
great day.
What's the name of your clinic? Just so we can give a little shout out.
Neo acupuncture, NEO acupuncture, Northeast
Perfect.
Ohio acupuncture.
Oh, that's cool. Actually,
Yeah.
that's a really good acronym. All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Eric, for joining me, and thank you everyone for joining in. I don't think we see a whole lot of questions, but Midgie Fran says it's interesting that I like that you made it a game. Um,
Yeah, might
thank you
as well
for
make
sharing.
life fun.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, perfect. Thank you so much,
Great.
Eric. All
You're
right,
very welcome. Make it a great day.
you too. Thank you.